me just listen to my block. It's quiet. Usually the one train's up there screeching.
There's so much stuff going on. Just got me thinking about all the people I care about the most. There's a breeze off the Hudson, and just when you think you're sick of living here, the memory floods in. The morning light off the fire escapes. The nights in Bennett Park blasting Big Pun tapes. It's a story of a block that was disappearing once upon a time in a faraway land called Washington Heights. Who's gonna notice we're gone? Say it so it doesn't disappear.
Washington Heights!
Look who's home! Bad changes happening on the block since you've been at school. When it came to dreams, we had to keep scraping by.
Ice cold piragua.
It's silly when we get into these crazy hypotheticals. You really want some bread, then go ahead, create a set of goals.
I pick a business school and pay the entrance fee. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll stay friends with me.
They used to say, if you work hard, you live by the rules, the things will come, and those things will heal you. I'm not gonna sit here and give you some fairy tale.
Ignore anyone who doubts you.
Cause this place, this is it.
1, 2, 3.
I just wanna see the whole world through her eyes.
Let's go!
Go show them who we are.
Today's all we got, so we cannot stop. This is our block!
This is the moment when you do better than me. Because you can see a future that I can't.
Sonny, you're late.
You know you love me?
We can pay off the debts we owe.
We can tell everyone we know.
We are not powerless. We are powerful.
And we'll get the dough, and once we get going, we're never gone.
96,000. 96,000. 96,000. Get the dough, and once we get going, we're never gonna stop.
Hi, my name is Gil Robertson, president of the African American Film Critics Association. Today, we've got a real treat for you as we are talking to the creatives and cast members who are in one of the most anticipated films of the year, In the Heights. We're going to get things started by introducing our facilitator, Katia Woods in Philadelphia, Carolyn Hines in Toronto, Ray Cornelius in Atlanta, Brandon Collins in New York, KB in Houston, Ruben Recalled in Miami, Sir Jones Brandon in Frankfurt, Germany, Sharonda Williams in Atlanta, and Jill Monroe in Los Angeles. I'm gonna let you guys do what you do so well, and I will see you on the other side.
Hi, it's KB here with Through the Lens of Lady KB, and my question is for John. So can you talk a little bit about the collaborative process that you had with Lin and how you guys worked together to kind of bring this really great production from stage to screen?
Yeah, one, I was very intimidated coming into this with Lin. I think he wrote on my script, "Don't F it up." So you know how it is. So honestly, the first key, because he was so in Hamilton world when I first got on, the key was Kiara. Kiara is his best friend. They're neighbors. He trusts her implicitly. So when I got to know Kiara and we got to work together, we got to break it many, many, many times and put it back together. And we got to lose songs, put them back in. And Lin, again, he's a cinephile, so he really understands the process that movies are different. And he really let us have the playground to break it and put it back together. It wasn't until a little later when we started to cast and started to really get into the nitty gritty that he got more involved, and that was just a blast to have. I mean, we got to, with Dascha and Leslie, we got to meet, and he just has an amazing eye for talent. And so we got to really meet in the middle there. And when I wanted to take it in a place that he had never taken it before, he was always down. I mean, Lin is everything you hope he is. He is a creative genius, but also a creative collaborator and fosters a community of support and love and like, yes, and so that was the environment that we could make this movie in.
Well, thank you so much. I think that you did a fantastic job and everyone involved.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, it's Sharona Williams from Pair Wait. I want to open this up to everyone on the panel. This film is about following your dreams, but for all of your careers, it might seem as if you've already hit them. But I think it's always necessary for us to continuously push us to make new dreams. So I want to know, after your success now in your careers, what are your new dreams now that you want to follow? And Dasha, we can start with you.
Well, I think a dream is it progresses along the way and evolves into something else. And I think that's the beauty of just beginning with a dream. And the film does a beautiful way of depicting just a small dream of what it can become. And it was a dream for me to be part of a musical and to start, venturing out into that aspect of my career. And so I had the opportunity to do so. And along John, Leslie, the cast, they created a safe place and also a place where I felt like, oh, I'm worthy. I belong. I can do this. I can continue to do that. And that's what's important, to have a supportive group behind your dreams as well.
Leslie?
Same. I'll add to that, sis. I felt so just fortunate to be a part of this group, and it's definitely been a dream for me, coming from music, starting so young. I always thought, I would love to be a part of a film where I could, bring whatever my experiences, my life experience or my music experience to a show or to, a film. And so to be able to do this and it be, one of the first things that I do on screen was a sueñote. It wasn't a sueñito, it was a big dream. And it's taught me a whole lot. It's definitely set the bar for, hopefully what I'll have the privilege to do in the future. So lots of dreams from here. We all have lots of dreams that we still have to accomplish from here on forth, for sure.
And I'll never forget when I went to Tyler Perry's opening of his studio there, and he was like, I've gathered you all here because I wanted to show you, because you guys are all leaders in your respective industries, and he's like, I just want to show you that you're not done, that you need to dream bigger. Dream bigger. We have to dream bigger. That's our responsibility. And he's like, I felt it when I went to Oprah's, whatever, he went to a luncheon there and he didn't feel like he belonged, and someone next to him said, you do, and you need to dream bigger. To me, that moved my brain. That was like, we were right about to, I think, shoot this movie when that happened, and I was like, oh, I gotta go for it. Like, this is the moment. And you can get to it, go from a 1 to a 10, and you feel like that's your journey, and you're like, living in your house, having your good food, it's all good, and then you realize, oh, you need to go back to a 1 again. You need to become a beginner again, to learn and be humbled again and build again. Not even just for yourself, although it's good for your brain, but for everyone that paved the way before you, and for the next generation that we need more than ourselves right now. I love it in the movie when Jimmy Smith says to Leslie in the movie that oh, this is the moment you're better than me. This is the moment that, not because of your degree, but the moment that you see a future I can't. And that every generation sees something that their parents can't. I know when my parents came from China and built a restaurant, they couldn't see their son going to Hollywood. So I just love that's the process of progress.
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hi, everyone.
Corey's here. What's up, Corey?
Hey, guys. Sorry, I have been having technical issues this morning. So what's up?
Hey,
good to see you.
Hello. My name is Brandon Collins from the Media and Popcorn Podcast. My question is for Corey, actually. I didn't know Dr. Dre could sing. So for you, what was the process of going through dancing, singing, and then also getting down to acting? And what did you find to be the most challenging part about Benny?
Well, I didn't know he could sing either. I have to say, first of all, just to sort of tag along, this has been one of the sort of bigger blessings in my life, to be able to kind of run towards something that actually scares you, something that people wouldn't normally associate you with, or something like that. Just continues to allows us to stretch as actors, as human beings, as artists. I love what I do, and I love that I got the opportunity to do it with this group of people. We had a good time. I will say with Benny, the most challenging thing for Benny, especially in this story about seeing a lot of people sort of looking outside of home or searching outside of home. Benny, for me in this story, is a rock. He's the person who sort of reminds everybody else. It's like, he's like, no, guys, like home is wherever your greatest dreams are. And he's just there to be a constant reminder that it doesn't matter how big or small your dreams are. Benny's dream is to run the dispatch on the corner. He's not trying to, go and do this or go and do that. And that is his contribution to his community. His dream is to see, Nina be her greatest self, go off to college and hope that they're able to push through that. But the most challenging thing, I think, technically, was just to be able to sing and dance. And John being like, I remember the first meeting with John, or one of the first meetings, and John was like, we're not really sure right now, but, we're thinking about putting y'all like on the side of a building and, singing, dancing. And I'm listening. I remember listening, me and Leslie sitting there, we're like, okay, yo, this is dope.
Looking at each other like,
yeah.
Okay.
We were like, yeah, that's cool.
That
so I can't wait to see the doubles do that with their harnesses. And he's like, right. Yeah, no doubles, no harnesses. It'll be y'all up there doing the thing. So I had her to lean on. I had my cast to lean on in the studio, the dance moves, all of it. I've always been a singer, always been a dancer, but never really thought that I could push that forward publicly. And to be able to do this in this film and telling this story with this community in the Heights where I used to live, like all of the things, like it's just a blessing.
They had so much courage. I got to give it to Corey and Leslie. I mean, they were vulnerable out there. Just the camera on them. So sorry, Brandon, keep going. My bad.
No worries. I just want to say thank you and great job, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ray Cornelius here with Upfront Inside the Entertainment Industry. Congratulations on an amazing film. My question is for Dascha. This is a very, very different character from Orange is the New Black. I felt like you were really in your element and having such a great time. You were singing, you were dancing. How much fun was it, and how important is this type of film now for young Latin American women?
Well, I think that when we see diversity, when we brought in the lens, the diaspora, it's not just about a specific type of film. I think the direction that the goal is for the youth to see themselves on screen and to see that the possibilities are limitless, whether it's in front of the camera or behind. I think the movie's not just about the Latinx communities beyond. It has its thematic universal language of joy, of celebration, and so forth. For me, coming from Orange, another diverse show, to stepping in here, where again, I'm in a position where I'm surrounded by people that I connect to, I look like. It empowers you. You're free. And then when you have leadership that makes you feel included and part of the creative process and allows you to kind of, there were moments where John was like, just do your thing. And like, just whatever it has, just go. And I would go, whether I drew inspiration from my upbringings and from, pillars in our community to do so. It was definitely something that I hold close to my heart, because when you're an artist and you're able to incorporate your essence and not feel embarrassed or feel like you have to be a certain type of way to fit that mold, I think doing Cuca from Dayanara was showing me in a light that people have not, and it was just so liberating. So cheers to Cuca for that, because I want to continue. Maybe Cuca gets a spinoff. Who knows? Her and Nina, and we go to Betty's, and we have a little three. We have a little fun somewhere. Who knows? But yeah, definitely something that's necessary.
Hi, Kathy Woods, Couple Social. My question is for Leslie and Dascha. This movie is about the Latin diaspora, but do you feel that this is taking a step in the right direction, not only for Latinos, but specifically Afro-Latinas as a whole, because we're struggling still to be seen. Leslie, you can start.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite things about this film is that we finally get to see beautiful people on the big screen that aren't it's a story about a Latino community or through the scope of a Latino community, but you finally get to see that we're not a monolith, that we don't all look the same, and everyone is represented. There's a part in the movie where every flag is raised, and you get to see down to every dancer. There's every skin tone, shape, you know, and dancers from the block, like from that community, dancing with so much pride. For me as an Afro-Latina, I know for Dasha it's the same, like being able to come on set and come, you know, as your full self without having to feel othered or feel like you have to over explain who you are or what you need, because you're looking around and you're seeing people that look like your family. There's something to that, you know. I knew I was very, very spoiled on my first experience to experience, you know, love and support and also understanding like that on a movie set. But I hope that this is the first, you know, of many where we get to see the full breadth of our culture, and where young, you know, women that are looking up at a Daphne, or that are looking up at a Dasha, or that are looking up at, you know, someone like Nina, they feel seen, and they feel like, yeah, I can do that. I can look like how I look like, and I can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, and to add to, I mean, Leslie, you did it all in a nutshell. I mean, we're in sync, but also there's so much other things beyond just the Afro-Latin and the Latin and the diaspora of tones and skin and race and beyond. We also, I met, you know, the first Rockette, a Puerto Rican Rockette on set as a dancer. And that to me, I was like, what? There was a Puerto Rican Rockette? I never knew that. And it was like, it blew my mind to know that there's been a lot of unacknowledgement in our communities that we don't get to see growing up. And so being part of this like this, it was like, yeah, I'm representing the Afro-Latin conversation, the Latinx conversation, the Black conversation, the music, the culture and all that. But I'm also representing just that little girl that aspires to be in my own skin. And that is what made me feel most happy and bring to life doing that. It was like, you know, I know that that's what we have, what we symbolize, but it's more than just that, right?
Hi, Carolyn First Here's What Happened podcast and Carolyn Talks. So my question is for both John and Lin and also the cast, and it has to do with performing in the location. So John, can you just tell me about picking the locations to go to the particular songs and the choreography that went along with that, and then about using the locations for inspirations for the songs as well, and the cast for performing in those spaces?
Well, I was so lucky to have the best tour guides in the neighborhood with Lin and Kiara. They shared me their most personal stories. Hey, this is where I shot my home videos, in this tunnel. This is where we go for the summers to swim in the pools. And these weren't necessarily scripted. They weren't scripted in the script. This was stuff they showed, we shared, we talked about it, and we were like, oh, we have to do a big Esther Williams number at this pool. We have to use this tunnel. Oh, we've got to use all these streets. Like, that was the most amazing part. The neighborhood was not just a character. It was a crew member. It was our partner. It was our writing partner. It was all these things. In fact, so much that I had to name my son, who was born during the shooting of the movie, Heights, because that word was so beautiful to me while shooting the movie. The idea of hopes and dreams and seeing further than your window. To me, I wanted to hear that word every day of my life, and I wanted my son to hear that word every day of my life.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. I was in another roundtable. I have not yet made it through one of these press things without crying. I'm not going to start today because there are as many layers in this movie as there are layers to someone who grew up in Northern Manhattan and still lives in Northern Manhattan. In terms of the locations, I think John sort of brilliantly always picked the most cinematic choice for every location, and they always had some kind of resonance with Kiara and I as the creators of the show. I think of Paciencia y Fe and the fact that Abuela's reckoning moments happen in that tunnel, and you have to understand on another level, towards the end of my abuela's life, she was in a nursing home on 190th Street in Audubon. So that's the tunnel I went through every day to go to the elevator at the one train to go up to see her on the other side of Manhattan, on the other side of that mountain that you need a tunnel to traverse. So it just hits different for me. I remember when he started rehearsing When You're Home, when Leslie and Corey started dancing there for the first time, I called my wife, who also grew up in the neighborhood, and said, honey, I know you're busy, but you have to get over here. They're doing it in J. Hood Wright Park. And my wife came over and again, and my wife would never be caught dead crying on a Zoom call. She's way tougher than me. But she looked at where the camera was pointed and said, that's my grandmother's building. My grandmother's building is going to be in this movie where her father grew up. So again, like the layers on layers of meaning for us as kids who grew up in this neighborhood, we then get to write a big cinematic love letter to it. I'll never run out of words for trying to express it.
All us cry.
I know. It's crazy. Like I remember like
remember that day, right?
Yeah, and then it's also not, it's not just like one day he came through. Like Lin was he was walking with this kid. He was taking his son to school or daycare or something.
My kid's daycare was on the other side of J. Hood Wright Park. And I ran into them rehearsing. I was just taking my kid to school.
Yeah, we just happened to be up in that park at that day rehearsing and you know.
I remember you giving us context of how you finished that song, which was, you know, you talking to Bill after you had your first date.
I was talking to Tommy.
Like,
I had just started.
Blast, but
yeah, no, I had just started dating my wife, and one of our first dates was the basis of that song, which was she took me to her favorite spots in the Heights, and I took her to my favorite spots in the Heights. And I called Tommy, the director, and I said, I met this girl, and I started describing the date, and he said, shut the fuck up and finish writing the Benny Nina song. Because you're actually falling in love and you're in it right now. Like write it down. So it's that deep. It's that many layers for us.
And it changed our whole approach to the. I mean, I know it did for Corey and I. It changed what this song meant for us just by you being there, and then Vanessa coming and have like there was more at stake for us to really tell Benny and Nina's story in this world of falling in love, you know.
You also have to understand that when we speak about a neighborhood that has so much history for our community, like for me, those were my stomping grounds. So like for me to be like 3 blocks away from my sister's house, which was my apartment, you know what I mean? And for me to know where I have to go get some snacks and where, this person, and play dominoes on the block. And like, you know, we're filming in the summer, everyone's outside. There's firecrackers, there's like all the drama from the neighborhood that we're so used to, but it made it so safe for us to shoot there. And I know the community was so proud. You don't know how many people would come up to me and knock on my trailer and say, you're not taking anybody, I want to be an extra. Or I was like, you know, like,
food. They would bring food.
Yeah. You know, and it was a very welcoming, embracive area. And I think that also we see incorporated in the film. It transcends. You feel the connection. You feel how empowered we all were.
And on top of that, you guys are doing I love this bench moment where you guys, you know, you use your hands like the drums and you slide her over and that's like such a classic Fred and Ginger type moment of something, and it's you guys, and it's in this neighborhood. And I remember some of the background people coming up and being in tears and saying, we've only seen them shoot like Law and Order here, where there's a cop car and there's like they've never seen where we can just be in a picnic. And I know that brought me to tears right there.
My parents' house has been on Law and Order 3 times. I'm not regular SVU and the 3rd one.
It's so funny because it's so true though, because like I remember Anthony telling me one time, he was like, yo, I had to like explain what we were shooting sometimes, because we would be like, what you shooting? You guys shooting some crime? You shooting some, you know? And then you'd be like, no, we're telling your story. We're telling your story. I promise we're making it magical, because the neighborhood's so used to being portrayed in a certain light. And finally we get to see our neighborhoods like shine with the magic that we all know, you know, that it has. And that's what it's all about, man. Like, we need more of it.
Great. Thank you so much for your answers.
Thank you, Karen.
I just wanted to say real quick that like the Fred and Ginger thing that you mentioned, John, I think is so beautiful because in my mind, it's like Nina and Benny probably might not have any clue who Fred and Ginger is, but that's just their expression of love. That's their expression of playfulness of whatever that is that Fred and Ginger was inspired by, that you and I are inspired by, that like all these things, that finding that inner child and that inner love of where you are and who you are and the people and things around you. You see it in that park moment. You also see it on the side of the building, you know. It's just a beautiful kind of reminder of like what's inside of us, you know.
Well, yes. One of the best parts about the side of the building I love is it becomes like a ballroom floor. Like that that becomes this like beautiful palace for you guys that you skim across and slide across, and it's yeah.
Well, thank you guys for that. Yeah.
All right, Jill, you're up.
Yep. Jill, someone's reading the notes. Jill Monroe, JacksonStilettoJill.com. My question is actually for Lin and John. Bringing this from stage to screen has been an act of patience and faith, as noted in the film. So I want to know from both of you, being that there are scenes that had to be cut, characters, musical numbers, what was that experience like? And how did you talk through what you were going to let go? And being that they're like your children, kind of, how do you sort of release it and not antagonize over, oh, maybe we could have fit that in there?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, first of all, the lion's share of the credit goes to Kiara, who is my co-writer on the show, and then wrote the screenplay herself, and did a thing that is very rare for Kiara, which was she actually said, like, let me just go off and do it, because I think I'll be braver if I just take a stab at it without both of us looking at our child together. And she made a lot of brilliant and really smart updates and bold decisions. And of course, there are characters cut and there are songs cut and reshuffled. And then I think the fun of that, well, again, because Alex, Bill, and I, who worked on the music together in the show, like also worked on the score, we snuck in every song in the score. They might be score elements now, but like that moment between Nina and her father towards the end of the movie, where Everything I Know would have been sung on stage, again, you can do what Everything I Know does in a close-up. Again, that's what film can do that you can't do on stage. And so that music is now playing in the backdrop of that scene when they have that moment together. One of my favorite sneak-in moments was actually when the sun goes down. John had the brilliant idea to have them dance up the side of the building. And then he kind of made a crack to me one day, like, I wish this song was a little longer. It's a really expensive set. You know, it's like, it's a lot of set for a 2-minute song. And I went, wait, it can be longer. And I pitched the melody from Sunrise, which was one of our cut songs, actually being the instrumental dance climax to the song. So that feeling of a piece, so like when they can't sing anymore, they dance. And it is actually sort of one of the beautiful cut songs of the relationship in the stage version. So everything kind of found its way musically. For me, I'm very happy because everything found its way back into the score in some way, shape, or form. But also Kiara had the courage to really like transform this thing into its own more concentrated version of the themes on stage. And then John always pushed for the most cinematic version of telling the story. Like, I can't put the High Bridge pool on stage at the Richard Rodgers. They can't dance up the side of a building at the Richard Rodgers. I can't recreate the tunnel on 190th Street. So again, like always pushing us into territory that only film can go.
And one of the best parts about working with Lin, the best gifts you get are these little random text messages of voice memos where he's recording the song or writing the song in a subway, in an elevator. Like, you never know when, you never know how, but suddenly he's like, okay, I got where Sunrise is gonna go. Listen to this. And you're like, oh my, and I'm like shopping in a supermarket at that moment, and you're like, nobody knows that I just got a text from Lin Manuel-Miranda of the new song.
All right, this is what Usnavi says in the Carnaval now, since, well, I already done. Voice memo.
Exactly. I'm like, you just sent me a song from Little Mermaid. That's not, what are you talking? And then,
Shit. Wait, sorry, wrong text. Disregard.
Disregard.
Hi, Brandon Jones from LRM Online. My question is for Lin. Lin, you talked about the things that had to be taken out. And one of the questions I want to ask you was about the things that were added. So the DACA storyline was completely new to this. And I was curious, why was that important for you to add? What made that special for you?
Yeah, and again, full credit to Kiara for really making that front and center. Obviously, the discussion of immigration and how it affects our community is a decades old conversation. That's certainly nothing new, but we are also we were having that conversation in the midst of an administration where we had been demonized and otherized as a people in a way that was really close to unprecedented. And so again, I think it's just it was in the present tense and on the front page of the paper in our community in a different way. And Kiara really kind of brilliantly brought it to life just by having one of the most beloved characters in the show struggle with it. Like the one character who's like, I don't want to go back to DR. I don't want to go back to where you grew up. Like my home is New York City. Like my place is here. He's the character who, when 96,000 happens, is the only one who sings about investing in his community and fighting gentrification and like making the world better, not just his own fantasies. And again, like to humanize undocumented folks who make our country better in that way, you're telling me that kid doesn't belong here? That kid isn't going to make this country better by staying? I think it's just I think it's really kind of a brilliant move, and I'm happy with the things we cut to make room for that to be a part of the conversation our characters are having with each other.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi guys, my name is Ruben. I was raised in the Dominican Republic, born and raised, and I lived for like a year in Washington Heights, and I still have family there. And this is one of the few movies that I watch crying the whole moment because Hollywood always tell the stories about Latin Americans, like we are always suffering, that we have to struggle to find our dreams or to achieve our dreams. And this movie is the opposite of this. Like, of course, we have dreams, but like, it's fun and it's, of course, a struggle, but it's a beautiful journey. And one of the things that really tears me up, besides the main character, that's Dominican, it's the details, the breakfast, the comments, the accent. One thing is in a play, other thing is a cinematographic way. How do you guys work to be so amazing, creating all this atmosphere, this universe of Latin Americans, not just in Washington Heights, if I mean like overall, because I felt represented and I felt like someone hugged me and told me I'm not alone.
Oh my gosh. Well, me vas a llorar, Ruben, gracias. But, you know, I think, one, I want to give a shout out to Nelson Coates, who is our production designer. And that's the person who is responsible for esos detalles, for the details of the ropa vieja, you know. And then the other person was Kiara, who is our screenwriter, but also like an on-set producer, like her fighting for the right olla, like for that food to be in. You know what I mean?
You have the mangú, the breakfast with queso frito, los tres golpes. You had everything.
Yeah. So first you have to understand the pressure that Kiara and I are under. We live there still. Like we can't walk around in our neighborhood if we get those details wrong. They're gonna tell us at Floridita when we go in to get our avena in the morning. And so we you know, we felt it, and it's a lived experience for us. I've grown up in northern Manhattan all my life, and then Kiara was there on the day-to-day, and then Nelson just did incredible research, and we really kind of, again, you're absolutely right in your question, in that it is one thing to represent that on a stage, to represent a block that you can't see but is on a stage, is another thing to go onto that block and say, like, what do you have to offer me, and absorb that. And I think John and his crew really went in not as anthropologists, but as neighbors.
Yeah.
Like, we are going to be your neighbors for a month and a half. And like, let us have it and let us know like what we need. Mitchell, one of our costume designers, said a guy came up to him with a basket and said, "I heard you need shoes." Like, "I hear you need sneakers." And like, our dancers wore the sneakers that guy gave us. Like, so like the level to which the neighborhood met us and really kind of embraced the production. It was really a collaboration with this neighborhood, because we're filming on July 4th weekend. Like, we're singing about fireworks and we're competing with the actual fireworks that are going off. So again, like, it was really kind of, we really felt the pressure to get the little details right. As Abuela says in the movie, little details that to tell the world we are not invisible.
Dascha, you have to say something?
Yeah.
Oh, orgullosamente dominicana, and being there and actually seeing, our culture come to life and not whitewashed down so that it's accepted is something that, I'm very proud for Washington Heights and for what it's doing as far as the authenticity and what we mean when we say we're not really that complex. We just have a lot of flavor. And just taste a little here and taste a little there, and you're gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. The spicy is okay. And so, yeah, I mean, I think all of us, we were very happy to know that the time was taken to pay attention to the details and to respectfully bring it to light. And John did amazing way to really like, hey, you guys, this is what we're gonna do. And you have to have that courage that when you're in that position to make those decisions, like Lin says, and Kiara, to say, you know what? I can't walk around my block and nobody's gonna dress me and push up on me and say, we don't do this here. Right. It's a responsibility that comes with it, but that it was very well handled and brought to light.
I want to add, my family, they watched the movie for the first time last week at a family, friends and family screening, and Todito Dominicano al fin. The biggest oohs and ahs were when they saw the ropa vieja, when they saw the mango, when they saw the food, everything that was on the table. And I told my dad, I told my mom, I told my grandma who was there. She hadn't been in a cinema, in a theater like decades. I said that was our team, but our director too, who knew so much about the importance of food and what's on the table, because he comes from a family where, food is so important. It says a lot about what, what's going to happen that night and who made what, and, and what your family finds important. You can't get that wrong. So, but it definitely, de una dominicana a otro, I felt you on that, because I laughed so hard when I heard everybody go, ooh, about the food. All these huge numbers, and the biggest ooh and ah was what was on the table.
My favorite is that breakfast. It's the opening number, the Dominican breakfast. We go do the close-up, because I remember that moment, like, the people, because we really empowered anybody, a crew member, to say on set, like, no, this is important. And I think it was our location manager who's like, no, if you put this on screen, people will react. I'm like, all right, let's try it. And we cut to that close-up. It's for like 2 seconds. But every time we watch that movie, Dominicans like scream and yell at that moment. It's so fun. I love it.
Fufu, the fufu is our ancestry, which is important when we incorporate our ancestry and we bring those roots that we know that are part of our roots and our heritage. So that definitely is important.
It makes us feel seen and important. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I'm crying
Thank
now, but like,
you.
it's awesome. Thank you.
Oh, I'm crying.
I mean, John and Lin, you've done
so
it
much.
again. Another mass global hit that is going to resonate as much as Hamilton and as much as Crazy Rich Asians. Just totally love this pairing. We're working with a coalition, multicultural coalition led by the National Association of Latino Independent Producers, NALEAP, as well as Gold House, to ensure that everyone goes out and supports this film.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everybody on this call. I'm so hungry from our food conversation.
Oh, you
Everybody wants some mango and fried cheese
Yep.
for breakfast.
I eat with the fried eggs and onions.
It's lunchtime here.
As a Latina, what made me more than anything, because I like my coffee, café con leche. Home to Brazil, that is the first thing that I do is coffee, because it's the most simplest, but the most best thing ever. And like my husband, who's American, doesn't. It's like we're both speaking English, but he still doesn't get it. Like after
you don't get how deep it goes. You don't get how deep it goes.
I'm like a bag lady with all this coffee in my suitcase, and he's like, people are gonna think we're covering up drugs. I'm like, I don't care. We can't get it in the States. You know, and it's just it's really it's hilarious. And I was like, I thought I was like, oh my God, that's right.
I live in Miami, and the only difference is names. But we use rice, we use beans, we use plantain,
Right.
those different names. And it's funny how we are arguments and how this movie is gonna put things on like in a real conversation. And I'm just inviting everyone to go to the movies, not in the house. Go to the movies and watch this movie. And I'm sure
Get
like
a Dominican to do that. You know they will hustle it.
It's so mismo, right?
By the way, these conversations that happen after the conversation, after you see the movie, this is what it's about. Like people will share these stories to people after the movie, and that's everything. That's what I saw at Crazy Rich Asians. People hung out in the lobby and talked about food and like talked about their traditions. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
That's my wedding like that, John, by the way, because I was on a flight crying on Crazy Rich Asians. I'm like, I want an Asian wedding.
Dascha, I can help organize an Asian wedding.
Can raise that.
Look it up.
I second that, Dascha. That wedding was stunning. I was like, the water, the flowers. Yes, definitely, 100%.
Len, can I just say, I'm an immigrant. I'm from Barbados. I moved to Canada in 2009. In the Heights was the first stage play I saw when I moved here, when they did it downtown. And my dad took my sister and I, because he was like, this is an immigrant story. And my dad used to live in Canada like in the 80s and the 90s, and he brought my sister and I. It's amazing to me because when I moved here with the intent to become to do library sciences, and now I'm doing film criticism, which is something I secretly always wanted to do. So I remember when I watched that, when I saw the stage play, and my sister and I looked at each other, we were like, this is an immigrant story, and like it's so fresh for us because we had just moved here and it was super cold, and we had moved from the islands to the winter. We don't know what the heck we were thinking moving to Canada in like the dead of winter, but like that is an experience that has always stuck with me. I've been here 11 years and it's still one of my favorite memories.
That means the world to me. What's wild to me is how many folks I meet like you who are now work in the arts for whom Heights was their first show. Because to me, Heights was my attempt to write what was missing. Like I love Broadway shows, and except for West Side Story Sharks, I never saw our story ever. And it was just like my big, everything that is missing musical. And so the fact that that's like your first show, it like means the world to me. So
yeah, because my dad is a stage writer. He does stage plays back home in Barbados, and he's published writer, but he's a microbiologist too. So he took us because he does microbiology, but he always wanted to be a screenwriter, and he only did that when he grew up in his 50s.
And you tag in and you fulfill the dream.
And he fulfilled his dream, and now I'm doing mine too. So it's like just like kind of
some Bajans in the house.
Yeah.
Dascha, John, Leslie, Corey, and Lynn, thank you for joining us. On behalf of the world's largest group of Black film critics, thank you for watching this edition of AAFCA Roundtables. In the Heights opens everywhere on June 11th. We'll see you soon.
That's
right.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everybody.
much.
You were absolutely
Thank you, everybody.
wonderful.
That was great.